Okay, we're in section 8, review for assignment and polynomials. We've completed the lecture material on this. Certainly we explained, or at least went over, much of this material that's in the notes. The expectation is you've gone back over that, read that material, and try to make sense out of the course. We also went through examples. These are typical examples that will be presented to you at Essex, and we went through every example at the whiteboard. For those students having trouble following, there's also videos on the side that you can watch if you need spot videos to help you with any of those questions over there. So at some point you say, okay, I understand what you're doing and I want to try myself. And that's the whole point of what we call homework. We want you to go home and try this on your own, all right? So I'm going to go to the whiteboard. I'm going to try these problems on my own. The expectation, though, is that you've done this, all right? Now, you might be struggling with still, but you've done this, all right? You're looking at this to reinforce that you've done it correctly at this point. So I put a new share down for you. I'm going to do a whiteboard, and that means the notes are going to disappear. Just give it a second to warm up. All right. So what you're witnessing now is my whiteboard, and you might say, where are the notes? You should have them in your hands, including your notebook, the notebook that you've done the problems in. So we're in section 8. And we're doing problems from the homework. Number 1, it's the homework set. They're given a function. F is a function of x. What is the function? It's twice x squared minus 3 times x plus 9. What do they want you to do? Evaluate the function at minus 1. So it's going to be minus 2, parenthesize the variable, minus 3, parenthesize the variable. And what are you going to do now? Put the value of the variable in. And what do you get now? Well, first term, you're going to get, minus 1 squared is 1, and 1 times minus 2 is minus 2. The second term is minus a minus 3, which is plus 3. Then you get plus 9. Minus 2 plus 3 is 1, and 1 plus 9 is 10. Make sure you look at the answer key, which is the blue area, to make sure things are looking good. And things are looking good. Well, let's do number 2. I'm going to move this up. Again, the expectations have done these problems already. If you need additional help, I want to encourage you to come by during office hours. So what's number 2? They want me to use the vertical and the horizontal format to do an addition. And let me write down the addition for you. Okay, and outline what's on over here. This is a grouping symbol. This inside the grouping symbol is a polynomial. It's 3 terms. We say trinomial of degree 2. This is a grouping symbol. Inside the group is a polynomial. It has 3 terms. We call it a trinomial, degree 2. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to move left to right in the problem, and I'm going to try to do the addition. Right, I'm going to remove the grouping symbols. Again, I'm moving left to right. Well, let's see. Plus, that will be minus 5x squared, right? Plus 3x, and then plus a minus 9. All right. This could also be written as this way. I'll write this down. I do want to emphasize that keep copying often presents problems because there could be errors. So I'm going to do the like terms. And what am I doing over here? Looking for x squared terms. And I see 2 of them. And you combine their coefficients. And if you combine the 2 coefficients, it's 6 minus 5 is 1. So there's 1x squared, all right? If you want to put a 1 in front of it, you can. Normally don't do that. It's implied to be 1. Okay, what's next? Look at the x's now. What do you see there? Minus 6 plus 3, which is minus 3x. Now what? I got the 6 and the minus 9. What does that give me? Minus 3. Put a box in that. The format we just used here was horizontal. I'm also going to do vertical. So let me write that down for you, and then we'll check the key later. You're free to use any method you like. This is minus 3. This is minus 3x. And this is x squared. Now, the bottom line, I hope you realize we're getting the same answer in both cases. Let's go to the answer key. See what the answer key says. What does it say? X squared minus 3x minus 3. All right, let's go to the next one, number 3. Relatively simple section. What's number 3? Again, it's 2 polynomials. So minus 3x squared minus 6x minus 5. There's a subtraction. It makes it a little more difficult for some students, not everyone. And you get plus 6x minus 11. I'm going to go left to right in the problem. And I want to, before I do, I want to emphasize here, these are grouping symbols. Inside this group is a trinomial, 3 terms, degree 2. Inside this grouping symbol, there's a trinomial, degree 2. All right, I'm going to do the horizontal format, moving left to right. Minus 3x squared minus 6x minus 5 minus 2x squared minus 6x minus a minus 11 is plus 11. Well, I'm going to combine like terms. I'm going to do x squared first. That's minus 5x squared. I'm going to go the x's next. Minus 6 is minus 12. And minus 5 plus 11 is plus 6. All right. So I want to do the vertical format. Put this down for you. Minus 3x squared minus 6x minus 5 minus 2x squared minus 6x plus 11, very similar format actually, plus 6 minus 12x minus 5x squared. Do we get the same thing we got up here? Of course we do. Let's see if we got the same answer in the answer key, and I'll look at it. Minus 5x squared minus 12x plus 6. All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4, they give me t of x. What am I saying? T is a function of x. It's 4x to the 4th power minus 3x plus 2. They give me s of x, and s of x is x to the 5th power minus 2x minus 7. Before I go on, I want to point out t is a function of x. It happens to be a polynomial. There's 3 terms, degree 4. S is a function of x. It happens to be a polynomial, 3 terms or trinomial, degree 5. They go on to define new polynomials, and the polynomial they defined was w of x. And what's w of x? S of x plus t of x. Well, I believe these are easy to add together. I'm just adding those 2 polynomials above it together, and I like to stay in order. So it's going to be x5 plus 4x4. Now, of course, I'm going to combine the x terms together. Minus 3x minus 2x is minus 5x, and minus 7 plus 2, they're also like terms, would be minus 5. I can put a box in that. All right, what else do they want me to do? They want me to get another polynomial, v of x, which is going to be t of x minus s of x. Now, I'll be honest with you, for a lot of students, subtraction is more difficult than addition because the order matters. And they want t minus s. Let me write this down. Minus x5. All right. And then what do you get? Plus 4x4. Let's see, t of x, that's minus 3x. Minus and minus 2x is plus 2x. That's going to be minus x then. And then what do you get? 2 minus a minus 7, which can be plus 9. All right, let's keep going. What do they want me to do now? They want me to evaluate w at minus 1. Let me put that down for you. That's minus 1 to the 5th power plus 4 minus 1 to the 4th power minus 5 times minus 1 minus 5. Let's see what we get over here. This would give me minus 1. This would give me 4. This would give me 5. This would give me minus 5. Fairly simple arithmetic. You'd end up with 3. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one, they want me to evaluate v at 2. So it's going to be parenthesize the variable, 2 to the, whoops, sorry about that. Made a mistake there. We'll do that later. Plus 4, parenthesize the variable. And the variable, again, is a value of 2. Minus, parenthesize the variable. Again, the variable has a value of 2. Plus 9. So if we can do that, this would be minus 32. Next one would be 4 times 16, which is plus 64. Minus 2 plus 9. And let's just do that arithmetic. Let's see, minus 32 and 64 is 32. And minus 2 and 9 is 7. And 32 and 7 is 39. For students that have trouble with arithmetic, you're allowed to use a calculator, although I don't think it's going to be helpful. Going to go to the answer key. And again, the reason that I want to see if I made any errors. Sometimes I misread things or I copy down the wrong thing. So I'm looking at it. That's all I'm doing. Feel good about that. I'm looking at this. I'm feeling good about that. They say W minus 1 is equal to 3. Feeling good about that. And V of 2 is equal to 39. Feeling good about that. All right, go to the next problem, which should be number 5. It's the last problem in the set. And then we'll talk about Sage. What's number 5? I'll write it down for you. It's a function. There is words, though. And the function is going to be 1.8. It says h is a function of t. And it's going to be 5t, 1.8 plus 5t minus 4.9 t squared. Let me point this out again to you. H is a function of t. What is that function? It's a trinomial. There's 3 terms, degree 2. All right, so I'm going to read it to you. As I'm reading these things too, I want to emphasize they say things. They say that height is in meters. So this h over here is in meters. And then they say if an object thrown above the ground can be modeled as a function of time t. T is time in seconds. So this is in seconds. H is the height in meters above ground. T is time in seconds. What's happening? An object is being thrown up. It's going to go up. It's going to come back down. Let's see if we can answer the questions now. What's A? A says, evaluate this for the height when t equals 0 seconds. I've got to plug it in. H of t, which is 0, equals 1.8 plus 5 times 0, parenthesize the variable, minus 4.9, parenthesize the variable, and the value of the variable is 0. What does this give you? 1.8. Now 1.8 what? Meters. That's done. All right, we'll check it in the SQ later. Let's go to B. What does B say? How high is the object at 1 second? Now, by the way, I'll point out the object being thrown up in the air, we're expecting it to go up, right? 1.8 plus 5, parenthesize the variable. What's the value of the variable? 1 minus 4.9, 1 squared. Let's do the arithmetic. 1.8 plus 5 minus 4.9. Again, I want to do that arithmetic, and looking at it, it really doesn't look bad. And adding it all together looks like 1.9. 1.9 what? Meters. Again, if you're struggling with arithmetic, you're allowed to use calculators. This seems reasonable because 1 second later, it's got to be up, right? You're throwing the object up in the air. So let's go C, and I'll write it down for you. And what does C say? Do you think it's valid at 5 seconds? Well, I want to be honest with you. Throwing an object in the air, I don't think it's going to stay in the air for long. 5 seconds sounds outrageous to me. It's not going to happen. But anyway, let's go through the work. H of 5. I'll write this down. 1.8 plus 5, parenthesize the variable, put the value of the variable in, which is 5, minus 4.9, 5 squared. We do some work over here. 1.8, this would be 25 minus 4.9 times 25. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of work, and I'm going to just kind of do some work. I'm going to do 1.8 plus 25 would be 26.8. Now, on the side, I'm going to do this over here, which is 25 times 4.9. All right. And I'm going to go through it. All right, so 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 2 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. And then what do you get? 4 times 5 is 20. And that's 810, right? So we get 10. I'm sorry, a 12, 2, 5, 122.5. Write that down. All right, and get my eraser out. I don't like really doing the great square root, but I did it. We'll talk about something later that's going to make this a lot easier to deal with. I'm going to do the subtraction now. So I'll put this down for you. 1, whoops, sorry about that. 122.5 minus 26.8. All right, at the borrow, this becomes 1, this becomes 15, this becomes 7. I got to borrow, this becomes 11, there's 5. Got to borrow, becomes 11, it becomes 9. So what do you get over here? Minus 95.7 meters. Okay. You may forget what the question is. Go back and read it. This is reasonable. This is not reasonable. It's the height above the ground. So if the ground would be, hit the ground be 0, it minus 95 means it's going through the ground. This is just not reasonable. All right, so I'm going to say not reasonable. Okay, I'm going to talk about using a calculator to do this. So on a calculator, this is 1.8 plus 5 times 5 minus 4.95 squared. I'm going to get my calculator out, and I'm going to do it right now. So I'm actually touching a physical calculator. So 1.8 plus, hit the plus sign, 5 times 5 minus 4.9 times 5 squared. And what does it give me? On a calculator, it gives me minus 95.7. All right. Someone says calculator is so much faster than handwritten. It is. There's no doubt about it. For the most part, it is. All right. Let's go to D. All right. Now, D, the numbers are getting a little more difficult now. And what is D going to be? H at 1.3. I want to read it to you. It says, show the object hits the ground approximately 1.3 seconds. So what we're trying to do is show that this is approximately equal to 0. To hit the ground means that it's not above the ground. It's approximately 0. Let's write this down. And what's this going to be? Well, 1.8 plus 5 times 1.3 minus 4.9 1.3 squared. Now, I'm not saying you can't do this by hand arithmetic. I'm just claiming that I want to take my calculator and do it. And what's that going to be? 1.8 plus 5 times 1.3 minus 4.9 times 1.3 squared. And what do you get? You get this over here, 0.019 meters. I hope you realize that that's very close to being 0. All right, so we do what we're supposed to show. All right, let's go to E. Even more difficult. Go back to the key later. And E wants me to do H of 1.302 4509.772. Well, I'll be honest with you, this would be torture for me to do it by hand. So I'm going to take my calculator out, and as I do that, I want to emphasize that that number might be hard to retype for you. And if it is, take your time. I'm actually doing it now. Just give me a second. A lot of typing, right? So it's, 1.8 plus 5 times that number minus 4.9 times that number squared. That's a lot of typing, right? So I'll tell you what I get on my calculator. And again, when I say I get on my calculator, I'm getting this number over here, 7.549. I'm just copying. Then I see this letter E, and I see minus 10. I want to tell you what this means to me. It means 7.549 times 10 to the minus 10. Now, what does that mean? I'm taking this decimal and I'm moving it 10 places in that direction. Let's write that down. So what's that going to be? It's going to be 9 zeros. Meters. I hope you realize that's an incredibly small number. All right. So I'm going to say it got closer to it. Still hasn't hit it, by the way. Getting closer and closer and closer. All right. So I'm going to say this is done. And I want to go to the sage, and we'll be brief about it because there's not much to say about the sage here. So I'm going to go back to a different share. And I want to just simply say we finished the few problems there were. There really wasn't much. Didn't take much time to get through that. What I want to do is just click on this Sage thing over here. Let me remind you, these red links in the notes, if you click on them, they're going to bring you somewhere. Now, this one's going to open up a web browser if your computer is properly configured. Now, as it opens the web browser, it's going to launch a website called sagemath.org. Right? You can type that in too if you want. And when that website loads, it's going to look like this over here. I'm just going to make the window a little bit smaller because I want to see what's behind it. All right, I want to scroll down. And I'm going to say you could download this application, but a lot of students have trouble with that. So my recommendation is to use the CoCalc, which actually runs on somebody else's computer. So let me click that. It's going to load CoCalc. And I think you've probably seen me do this before. At least I hope you've been paying enough attention that you've seen me do this before. Yeah, CoCalc is like sort of an online calculator, so to speak, running Sage. All right. So it's starting, and you can see that right up here. It takes time to load the application. And what I want to do, it's like starting with a clean sheet of paper. I want a new document. I don't want to look over my old documents. I just want a new one. So I'm going to click New right here. All right. That's all I want to do. Click New. All right. When I do that, I have a bunch of choices on what kind of document to create. It's going to title it for me. Don't worry about that. I'm just going to call it a Sage worksheet right over here. All right. What's going to happen now? It's going to load like a blank piece of paper. Looks like a Word document. I'm going to type in the commands. What's the first command? Reset. I'm just simply looking at the notes over here. And what I want to do is, again, explain to you that to get Sage to do the work here in the web, you have to hit two keys, which is Shift, Return now. And it's going to execute the command. The next thing we do is type in x equals var. And what is this thing? Oh, in computer science, it's defining a variable. All right, so now x is a variable. Then I'm going to type in p. I'm going to read that to you. It's p is the function of x. The equal sign means it's being assigned, just like we do in the notes, minus 3 star x squared. All right, minus 2 star x plus 6. I'm going to hit return. If I hit return, nothing's going to happen though. I need to hit shift and then return. All right, now p is defined. So if I put p minus 2, what's going to happen here? It's going to evaluate it. All right, so p of minus 2 turns out to be minus 2. Now what I'm going to do is I think I learned something there. So what I want to do is I want to go back to this problem over here, number 5, and I want to see if I can do this. All right, so the first thing I do is, I'm going to reset again. Remember, shift return. I'm going to set a variable up t. Shift return. I am going to assign a function h of t. I'm going to assign it 1.8, just like it is in the notes, plus 5 star t. Yes, I need to use the star, minus 4.9 star t squared. Shift return. Now let's see if we can go through the questions. And what's the first question? What's h evaluated at 0? I don't know. Yep, now I do. It's 1.8 with a bunch of zeros in it. Now, by the way, so why is that? It's the precision of this machine. All right. So I'm going to say 1.8. It's the same number. Let's do h of 1 now. That's the second question. What does it give me? 1.9. What did we say? 1.9. Let's now do h of 5. I think you remember me doing this by hand, right? So I'm going to look back at my notes. I'm going to pick up my little notepad here. I'm going to do it myself, right? Look back at my notes, see how we've done. And what did I say in the notes? I got to do that. Minus 95.7, same answer. Let's do the next one. All right, and what's the next one going to be? H of, let's see, I think 1.3, right? I can type that in, shift, return. What does it turn out? Well, like we said, 0.19. All right, I know a lot of zeros over there. I'm only doing it to 3 decimal places. All right, let's do the next one. I'll be honest with you, I don't want to copy that number. So I'm going to copy it using my machine. I don't want to copy it using my paper and pencil though. So I just copied the number. I'm going to go back to the web browser. I'm going to type in that H of. All right, shift, return. What does it give me? Well, crazy looking number. And remember to say about that E, what does it mean? 10 to the minus 10, right? We're getting the same number we got over here. Again, they're rounding off to 3 decimal places. All right, that's it. Thanks for listening. See you soon.